Hey everyone, this is a clip from a recent episode of Another Pass, where we talk about movies and all the struggles that go into making them. If you like it, check out the whole podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Why do we think they settled on Elizabeth Banks? Now, I'm going to preface that question with, I will see anything that she's in, because even when it's absolute garbage, I'm looking at you, Pitch Perfect, I will always see something that she's in. Because I love Zack and Miri Make a Porno. She really is great. And I love that she didn't give a shit about Power Rangers, but her boys loved it. And so she was like, sure, I'll watch a little, I guess. Sure, I'll do this thing. Do we think she was their first choice? Was she the pull, or was she the good comedian who they could afford at the time?
I mean, I think she was good casting for the moment when this movie was being made, for the type of Rita they were developing. I think that the choice to have Rita be the fallen Green Ranger is honestly a really good idea of lore updates that they're working with. This movie likes Power Rangers lore a lot.
Yeah.
It's a thing I really appreciate about it. And so having the Green Ranger element be tied into her, at least as her starting point, even if she has accrued more power, I think that's really good. And so you need an actor who can be an active physical presence on screen. And so if you're going to have a Rita, you're probably going to go with someone who is young enough that she can be convincingly doing physical stunts, even if a lot of it's CG or with a stunt double. So they needed someone who was in appropriate enough shape that they could be in a tighter uniform for that kind of a thing. And I think they needed an actor who could go pretty big on that one, who could really ham it up.
And she can.
So even if she wasn't the first choice, I can't imagine that she would not have been on the short list of who would have made a good Rita.
I would love to see the casting notes from this, because this is one where no casting things have leaked. It's never been talked about, who some of the other options were. I would love to see who else was on that list, just to see what camp they were in, because this isn't really a pitch thing. This was just, if Rita was different and she wasn't being the physical one, because this, something I did appreciate was the fact that it's Rita, and then all of her magic power is what makes the putties in Goldar. And we don't need a Finster, we don't need a Babu, we don't need all those, and Goldar isn't really sentient. If we were going another way and they really wanted to pull in let's do another thing of a well-known actor who's also been in Power Rangers, I was Alex Borstein as a Rita would have been fire, because that's a little closer to that classic Rita, but do it in a really sleek new thing. Also, I just think with Elizabeth, I think they decided that no matter who they had, she needed to look like Lady Gaga, because she looks just like the Born This Way. I also feel like they were going for Angelina Jolie, but knew they couldn't afford Angelina Jolie. Was just some of the design directives, I think.
Well, and I just don't think Angelina Jolie would have been Rita Repulsa.
I agree with you.
Agreed.
I agree, but I think they wanted something that was similar to her hard looks in Maleficent. I think physically they wanted somebody that was as close to her, but had the camp chops.
Yeah, the camp is the thing. You need someone who can really bring it. So that's why I do think Elizabeth Banks is a really good choice there.
I agree 1,000%. I just kind of wanted to ask. But it's also because 2017 wasn't that long ago. It was only 6 years ago, but it feels 1,000 years. And I can't even remember the other movies that came out that year that weren't Marvel movies. And I don't remember.
Same year was Pitch Perfect 3. So in terms of where Elizabeth Banks' career was. And 2 years prior was Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. And then she's gearing up to do Charlie's Angels in 2 years. So,
which she must have really liked working with Naomi, because she cast Naomi as the thing. And I mean, I'm not going to talk shit about people's performance, but Naomi Scott is not where it's at as a performance. I feel like we're not going to see her in much else.
Remember, if you like that clip, check out the podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.